Hey guys, Ed here, bringing you part 18 of What If Deku Was the Familia of Zero. Before we get into this, I would like to say a few things. 1. I would like to remind you guys that the Super Soldier Serum Deku is going to be the 2K special. The sooner we reach that goal, the sooner I'll work on it. 2. The series of What If Deku Was Jiraiya's son will be replacing this series once it's over, most likely in the next part. 3. The next part of What If Deku Had Cataclysm will be coming up next, exactly as I showed in my post with the 3 thumbnails. And for the fans of the Miraculous series, you'll be getting a treat with Easter eggs. Since we're close to Easter and all, could you spot the Easter egg that I put in the thumbnail? If you did, comment down below, and if you spotted them, I'll give you a shout out in the next series. That said, let's get into it. Fearless. Where we last left off, after the time travelers got some decent clothes, they were on their way to find Mr. Aizawa, and while discussing on what to do, a familiar voice called out to future Katsuki, and when he recognized the owner of the voice, he called out his name, and Nori and Sora, hearing the name, they lost control of their emotions and hugged their father, that they never had the chance to see up until that point. Izuku startled, he would say, what's going on here? Could you let go of me? I'm already taken. Katsuki would say, idiots, you heard him. Now knock it off. The two girls had tears in their eyes, realizing that it wasn't appropriate, as they apologized. Katsuki would say, well, with that out of the way, I need to find Aizawa ASAP. Do you know where he is? Izuku would say, I know that he was at Tartarus prison today because he had some stuff to do there with Prison Mike, or so All Might told us. I think he made it back, but I'm not sure of it though. Katsuki would say, great, so that means we can go to UA and wait for him there. And rest up a little bit. Izuku would say, before that, I think we should address the elephant in the room. Katsuki would say, fine, idiots, you heard him, introduce yourselves. Sora would say, my name is Sora Midoriya and I'm 15. Nori would say, I'm Nori Midoriya and I'm also 15. Izuku would say, wait, you don't mean, but then again, it could. But there were only theories up until now. Sora would say, Uncle Katsuki, is that okay? Katsuki would say, yeah, just give him a minute. He's always like this. Izuku muttered for a while until Katsuki had enough. Katsuki would say, yes, Izuku, these two are your kids from the future, and I'm also from the future, so why don't we go to UA, because there's a lot of explaining to do, and someone that needs to die. Izuku would say, wait, what do you mean? Katsuki would say, to put it simple, do you remember the USJ? How the villains knew about us being there, and ready to kill All Might? Izuku would say, yeah, of course I do. That's when Aizawa mentioned it to me before we went to Tristain the first time. Katsuki would say, so wait, that's why you were late that day? Izuku would say, yeah, but then we rolled out because of the incident with the alarms, so we came up to the conclusion that villains managed to get into the UA system and got the data. Katsuki facepalming, he would say, although that makes a lot of sense, there was a traitor, and he was in our class, which is why we need to find Aizawa now, because on November 3rd, that's when the villains will strike, and society as we know it will fall, and leaving these two, among others, without a family. Izuku shocked would say, you're telling me that Louise and I die in this ordeal? Katsuki would say, no, you don't die in this ordeal, you die before it, which is why we need to prevent it. Izuku would say, then we don't need just Aizawa, we need everybody. Izuku and Katsuki discussed some more and came up with some plans as they walked to UA, while Nori and Sora were admiring their father. Sometime later, they arrived in UA grounds, and from the entrance, Izuku saw Class 1A outside the dorms, practicing for the cultural festival. Nori would say, what are they doing? Sora would say, I don't know, but it's kinda weird. Izuku would say, we're trying to find a dance for the upcoming culture festival on 3rd, but I guess it's pointless. Katsuki would say, Izuku, let's go and do what we came here to do. Then get rid of the traitor. Izuku would say, "You're right, Kachan, let's go." I think Principal Nezu should still be in his office with the other teachers. If we go now, we might make it before they leave. The group entered the main UA building, and they headed towards the principal's office. Once there, they knocked on the door, and the voice told them to enter. Izuku enters first, only to find Principal Nezu and All Might talking. All Might would say, "Izuku, my boy, what are you doing here? Weren't you and your classmates working on the culture festival?" Nezu would say, "How may I help you, Mr. Midoriya?" Izuku would say, Principal Nezu? Do you remember that chat about the UA traitor?" Nezu would say, "Yes, we came to the conclusion of the villains yelling formation on the day before the USJ. Why do you bring that up out of the blue?" Katsuki entering the room, he would say, "Because, Principal, All For One will attack on the day of the festival, and we will lose." All Might, visibly confused, he would say, "Young Bakugo? Is that you?" Katsuki would say, "Yes, All Might, it's me, but that can wait. Principal Nezu, there was a traitor among us this entire time, and because of him, the entire society will crumble, and most of the top 10 heroes will fall, including Zuku and One For All." Nezu would say, "Mr. Bakugo, you realize that these are some heavy accusations with no concrete evidence. We can't simply act upon your word alone. But it would explain a few things, actually." Katsuki would say, "Just like the past months without any villain activity, except for a few minor crimes, like that gentle criminal guy, just doing things to be popular. Trust me when I say this is a calm before the storm. And, hypothetically, when would it be a good time for villains to strike?" Nezu thought about it for a moment, and then he would say, "Oh my, it would be the festival. Not only will they catch us off guard, but the civilian safety will not make it possible for the heroes to fight properly, while the villains can do whatever they want." Katsuki would say, "Exactly my point. But I've been through this event already, and I know how to deal with this. All I ask is for you to trust my judgment and assist." All Might would say, "Before that, may I ask on how you came to know about One For All?" Katsuki would say, "All Might, you told me yourself before you went off, hoping to defeat All For One with whatever embers you have left and those potions Izuku gave you to fully heal you and restore your strength to what it was during your prime. And it did help a little bit. But you died after delivering the final blow." All Might would say, "Then how?" Katsuki would say, "Simple. You lowered your guard because All For One shouting that Tomura Shigaraki is actually Tenko Shimura. Then I asked Gran Torino who he was, and he told me that he was your teacher's grandson. And then you were stabbed to the chest. All For One recovered after a few weeks, and then chaos. You were the second closest to defeat him." All I would say, "And who was the first?" Katsuki looked at Izuku. Izuku would say, "Wait, me?" Katsuki would say, "No, the guy behind you. Of course you. And don't you dare go and hide the other quirks." All Might confused, he would say, "Wait, what?" Katsuki with a smirk on his face, he would say, "Yes, All Might. When I saw him fight, not only did I see him use the super strength and speed, Black Whip, and his power as a Gandalf, he also was floating in midair and making some cover for himself with a smoke screen to confuse All For One. And he nearly had the chance to defeat him, but there were a lot of those Nomu creatures that were ganging up on him, which he defeated with no difficulty, but that damn sword of his was decayed by Shigaraki's quirk, and that left him open, and he died. Louise made a nuclear explosion out of rage, and then died too." Izuku would say, "I see. Well, now the cat's out of the bag. All Might, that was what I wanted to talk to you about, but you were always busy and all." Before they could continue their discussion, the door to the principal's office was open and Aizawa was dragging Nori and Sora inside. Aizawa would say, "Principal Nezu, I found these two sneaking around, so I brought them here." Sora would say, "Dad, please help us. We've been caught by this guy and he won't leave us alone." We weren't doing anything wrong. Nora would say, yeah, we were just going to see Mom and talk to her. Katsuki walked up to the two girls and bonked them on the head. Katsuki would say, idiots, I've told you to stay outside the door and don't move. Izuku would say, come on, Kachan. You know you can't blame them for being curious. Miss Aizawa, you can let them go. Nora would say, wait, Aizawa? Hey Sora, we found the guy Uncle Katsuki was looking for. Sora would say, well, I guess so, but how he was describing him, I was expecting to see someone more stronger looking. Aizawa confused, he would say, it seems that I'm lost, so can someone explain to me what in the world is going on? Because I can't seem to make sense of this madness. After the explanation, Aizawa would say, so let me get this straight. You're telling me that there was an actual traitor in my classroom, then on November 3rd, the school will be attacked by villains, us losing not just our lives, but everything. The survivors make a time machine to fix everything, and these two are Izuku's future kids, the same month-old kids that are in the dorms with Louise at this very moment. Katsuki nodded. Aizawa would say, so there's one question to be asked. Who is the traitor? Katsuki would say, simple. It's none other than our very own twinkly boy, Yuga Aoyama. And I'm ready to blow his head up for a second time. Izuku would say, but it can't be him. I mean, Katsuki cut him off and he would say, alright Izuku, let me ask you this. Why does he wear that device 24/7? Izuku would say, because his quirk is too strong for his body? Katsuki would say, or, better yet, his quirk is not compatible with his body. And All Might, you know more about All for One, so tell me, what does his quirk do? All Might would say, he can take and give quirks. Gives quirks. So that would mean, Katsuki would say, yes, just like Izuku, Aoyama was quirkless. But for whatever reason, he and his family are working with All for One. That said, I got a plan, and we'll tell everyone else except for Aoyama, and trick him into believing that he's giving the correct info to All for One, and that's when we'll strike. But before anything, Izuku, I need you to convince Eri to help out. While me and Aizawa will go to Tartarus. We need to get Overhaul. Izuku angrily, he would say, why Overhaul? Katsuki would say, because we need his expertise. Before Eri died, she and Overhaul made these bullets, and these don't look much, but they can render people quirkless. But the ones I have aren't finished, so they have a temporary effect. Aizawa would say, then why don't I bring someone to assure that he'll give us the info we need, and we can make it ourselves? Katsuki raised an eyebrow. He would say, who? Aizawa would say, Hitoshi Shinso. After they came up with a plan, future Katsuki went with Aizawa and Shinso to Tartarus to get the information from Overhaul, while Izuku brought Nori and Sora to meet their mother, introducing them as foreign and exchange students with different names to the others. While in private, he told Louise the truth. Louise, after hearing the story, she was sad but glad that they survived. Once future Bakugo returned to UA, he put on disguise pretending to be someone else, so that he doesn't have to explain anything about the future. But when his sight went to look Tiana, he couldn't help but shed a tear, happy to see her once again. As the days went on, future Katsuki made sure that everything would play out exactly as he remembered, and he tried not to change everything, managing to successfully make 5 more quirk-erasing bullets, with Eri's reluctant help. And then, November 3rd came. As most of the events were panning out similarly to the previous part, including bringing the same people from Chastain, when it came to Class 1A's performance, the civilians were in reality pros in disguise. And then, the attack came, and chaos was everywhere. But instead of frightened civilians, the villains were met with pros, ready to fight. To be continued. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more. Turn on the bell notification to be updated so you never miss a video. That said, peace out.